CES gave me the green light. That was really weird. The internet was acting kind of fucking weird. Maybe it's just not ready for the PS5. So, PlayStation 5 on everyone's mind now, especially as the Scorpio project finally meets an end at the end of this year. And we're already in summer. So, I mean, we're talking like literally within months, we're going to be seeing a more high definition 4K system. Now, it's not really truly 4K for Scorpio. This one thing is said because it's 30 frames. We all wanted 60 frames. Just so natural for our eyes. It looks amazing. But with that being said, we're not talking about Microsoft products here. We're talking about Sony products. And I've always been a philosopher with the companies that I ran with is you don't dog too much of the other company. Now, I've had a Microsoft, and I can speak on my own behalf, and that's definitely, yeah, and I don't represent Sony, so yeah, I don't really give a shit too much about Microsoft too much. Now, if they want to give me one, and I'll unbox it, and I'll play it, then yeah, whatever. I'm not going to dog it, but till that day, Microsoft, throw me those die. Until then, I'm a ride or die Sony fan. They've never done me wrong, and Sony always cleans up its spilled milk. That terminology I've always used because every single time it's broken down, it's always cleaned up. But the main project point of which most people are looking for is what's up with the PlayStation 5? What's it gonna do? And like one of the cool things I can kind of show you guys is I found an article and it kind of broke down. And go ahead and switch scenes real fast. You still hear my audio kind of coming through. At the PlayStation release date has one amazing point for like the reveal for PlayStation 4 Pro game, and that was Gran Turismo Sport. Now, most people that know that follow Gran Turismo Sport, it's a game that's been in development for fucking years, and I really mean years, because like one of the things that they really got into with detail was about like how it's over-spec'd. And one of the cool things that you'll see inside of this article, and the URL address is right up here, so I mean, just in case you want to see what's going on with that, or just, you know, give a shout out to the people that actually did the homework on this. I'm just using the fair to use clause that most YouTube copyright points would say is okay because I'm commentating over it. Yeah, you learn your shit as like a YouTube streamer. Eventually you figure out, hey, what is fair to use? But that's, again, not what we're talking about. We're talking about here in the PlayStation 5. Now, one of the cool things that it actually broke down into detail was that, again, the Sport, which we know has been in development for how long, is overspec'd. Each car takes 6 months for them to craft. And it is overspec'd right up to 8K. So, with that speculation, if, say, Microsoft saw that Sony was doing a PlayStation 4 Pro, freaked out, became 4K capable, even though technically the PlayStation 4 Pro is 2K scaled up to 4K, now we're getting into the territory of, did Sony make the right power play? Let's give them an upscaled UHD 4K that's technically 2K but looks fucking amazing and is 4K, and build an 8K machine ready so we can stomp out the competition when they have their fucking shitty ass fucking 4K 30 frame a second. I'm pretty sure I'm probably gonna get a lot of flack from people that are Xbox One fans, but you know what, until they have, you know, Xbox Christmas Tree, the 8K version, I don't think we have any room to talk. Now, I don't really have too much room to talk either because the speculation is through one game, and that of the development of what Gran Turismo Sport's supposed to be, because what the developer goes on to say is that they had built it for the future. And I mean, here's like just some really cool clean, you know, shots you can kind of see from like what is going on with the Gran Turismo, like, you know, breakdown. I mean, these pictures, I mean, look really real. I mean, and then some of you can kind of see, like, you know, it's a game because it's early development, and like the system for PlayStation 4 obviously would be something that they would try to be utilizing and building on top of this, and the PlayStation 5 would be something that would be upscaled later on. But like this picture was the one that kind of grasped me the most. This grabbed me because it actually looked super real. And one of the things, if you happen to have really good eyesight, like I have been really gifted with in that kind of standpoint, is that you will understand that once you go from 480p to 720p, you start noticing a slight difference. You go from that to 1080p and you're like, oh, that's a big ass difference. That to 4K and you're like, okay, yeah, that's fucking amazing. But then you go from 4K to 8K and you're like, okay, what is the difference? Now, I see that difference. It's depth. That depth of how far you can go and the detail of what in the range you can see, because that's your eyesight, which you can see how far back. So now you're capturing that. 8K is the high definition of stacking and expanding that picture, so now you actually have wider frames on that shit, because it just like 4K is great, but it does definitely downscale a little bit for as far as what you can do without having a wide frame until they actually kind of reinvent the wheel, like a 16:9 frame type situation. Now, that was pretty much it for as far as the article goes on to say. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the scenes of PlayStation 4. But what I'm trying to get at in the whole point of release date, they didn't give us one. They just danced around and said maybe June of 2018. One of my friends backed it when he went out to, like, I believe Comic-Con, got some kind of pass and like ended up going over there, or backed it some other way. I think Comic-Con was the last thing I was talking to him about. I might be wrong about that, but he definitely did back it. And like that's what a lot of people have been doing to back Sony in order to get this. Now I don't know where the backing is. So if someone wants to drop a link on where you can back that, a legit one, a Sony one. I want no fucking scam where it's like, I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers. You can back me. No, unless you're a real person. You can talk shop about streaming, but this is just some kind of busy bullshit. Thank you. Deny you. Yes. You only deserve one finger for that deny, so I didn't even want to use my middle. I was like, stop. But what I need to move on before I get too much of a digression. So I was like looking over, and I just see like freaking like the American Choppers dude just like hell of this bold ass mustache from the scene that I like cut over from. And I was like, oh, like very startled by looking at that. But his PlayStation 5 is very well in construction, and from what I've been hearing is AMD was supposed to be the one that was developing the chip. From what I was like digging into the details of like what they're building, and apparently this system is 5 times powerful than the PlayStation 4, and the PlayStation 4 was a fucking ridiculous times more powerful than the PlayStation 3 could have ever been. So I mean, just take that into consideration. Like most people think it's too soon. I don't think it is too much. Look at the way the industry's moving with like, consoles versus PC gaming and like 4K, 8K, and virtual reality. Like there are limitations on what a console can do and what people can ask for. So I mean, like Sony does it right. You develop the technology, you make it smaller, you make it more useful, you sell it to a consumer market that wants to buy it at a right price. So it's like, yeah, I feel like that's a wholesome, hallmark to kind of follow. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Nintendo. I have no beef with Nintendo. They're cool. I eventually want to get a Switch. And other games, like, or any game developers or any type of situation, what's it, the Stream Machine, like that. I wish that would take off. That's, like, a really cool freaking, like, idea of, like, kind of bridging the platforms and giving the fuck you to AAAs and the monopolies, like Call of Duties. And I'm not gonna get into that whole logistic bullshit of, like, who's, wrong and who's right. I mean, you draw your own conclusion. If you really, really want to talk shop, leave a comment. We can talk about it and everything, and I'll get back. We're gonna have a fun time. Like, share, subscribe. All those fun stuff. Leave a comment. But as I close this up to a very big wrap, as this breaking news kind of phases in and phases out, as I'm kind of giving down the standpoint of like what we can find from like getting the reality check of what a new console could bring to ourselves and to the platforms, and what we can do and how we can basically get down to those points of understanding what will the technology be into it. So if we take into consideration 5 times the powerfulness, and then we're going to take into consideration really just how that can be applied. It's like if 4K was okay and kind of bridged with just the PlayStation 4 Pro, with a better like actual physical graphics card, and it really wasn't much more with RAM or anything for as far as like processing power. It was just like the graphics card was just a hell of a lot better, if I remember correct. You look at it as like, okay, well now 5 times faster than that. Well, that means it could very well replicate 8K and do a hell of a good job. So stomping out the market a year later could be Sony again as a top contender. As again, Xbox One will be Scorpion as it's stomped out like a little pest as, Terminix stomps in. Says, no, fuck you. We're gonna kill you. Now I hope they have some good vibes. I remember during PlayStation 4's release and Xbox One's release, both companies gave each other like a pat on the back and said, congratulations with new systems, and I wish you prosperousness and all this other fun stuff. So they do play nice, don't get me wrong, but you start developing your liking, and no offense, I hated the customer service that I got at Xbox. Don't ever outsource. That's all I can ever say. Like, you lose a lot of your community in that way. But for me, I'm going to say that if you have any questions about this, or you have any more knowledge you want to drop, definitely leave a comment. Because this definitely is a hot topic that I'm interested in, and a lot of people are interested in. Now, I definitely am going to drop the link from the page that I got it from the source that details a little bit more into the point of what I was talking about. If you couldn't catch it, what I detailed on the other cutaway. Oh, excuse me. Had a tasty dinner before doing this little upload, but you will understand that you will have the points of being able to see the more fine details of what they're doing around here as well. And it's supposed to be coming out this October, so don't look at them trying to release the PlayStation 5 in October. I mean, yes, they can make a system pretty fast. Look at how fast Trinity and Neo, which became Morpheus, combined, which was basically the PlayStation 4 Pro and the VR headset. So those combinations come in pretty fast. It only took them almost literally about a year from concept of talking about it out in the open to market and applicable to playing to games that are applicable and that are raised on it. So it's I think what they're doing now is just kind of building their arsenal again, like what Gran Turismo is. There's probably going to be a lot of more other company and game developers that are beefing up these games to 4K. So when it does come out to it, it's bam, we got this backing market. You have these 8K or whatever upscale points of what they're going to produce. I'm sure they'll give us the fine details. 8K is a speculation again of dynamic graphics, and we're going to be able to see the upscaled points from what we would have saw on the very end tail of a PlayStation 4 Pro, which is a bridging gap to the 5, which I think we might see a 6 maybe, but that all depends on what Sony wants to do with that, where the game development's going, if the console war is even being still waged, which I think it will, as long as the disc is still a valuable tool of trade and use. I think that it is a beautiful thing to have, because it says fuck you to subscription-based formats and softwares, and if you like that shit, then you know what, you need to stop fucking playing games, because you're the reason why fucking gaming's getting really lame. But anyways, except for Telltales, they're allowed to do that because they sell you a complete package. They break the fold. Indie's okay. I should say that. Indie is okay. But fuck you, AAA. Fuck you. But that's me. I'm out. M7 giving you a nice little breaking news on this PlayStation 5 cap. And go ahead and hit that subscription button if you like.